Committee. The meeting tonight is being filmed and audio recorded, and we have taken steps to ensure that members of the public and some councillors are not filmed. However, the audio recording will pick up residents' comments. Please be aware, especially of naming any member of the public. Anyone who films or audio records the meeting is responsible for any claims or other liabilities from them doing so. And I would just like to read out some procedural notes. This comes from the NALC, the National Association of Local Councils, briefing paper LTN1, Council Powers to Discharge Their Functions. I'm quoting from paragraph 25, which is concerning committees. Sometimes councillors wish to attend meetings of committees or subcommittees to which they have not been appointed. This is a perfectly legitimate practice, as councillors have the same right to attend committee or subcommittee meetings as members of the public. However, where councillors attend meetings of committees or subcommittees to which they have not been appointed, they will not enjoy all the rights they enjoy as councillors. They will not have the right to participate in the meeting unless the meeting includes a public participation session. And further down, the need to know, paragraph 26 of the same document, councillors do not have a need to know all aspects of council business and cannot claim an automatic right to see all council documentation and information. If a councillor is not a member of a particular committee, he has to demonstrate why sight of the documents or receipt of the information in question is necessary for him or her to perform his or her duties as a councillor. Okay, thank you. Right, apologies for absence. All here. Thank you. Code of conduct and disclosure of interests. Councillors, you're all disinterested. Thank you. Public questions in respect of agenda items. Do we have any public questions in respect to the agenda items tonight? No? No? Okay, thank you. Minutes of...
Sorry, Chair. I do have a question.
Oh, okay, yes.
Why is the matter about Fairlight Pavillion being discussed in confidential session?
Because the proper officer and myself felt it was appropriate.
Because?
If we disclose that, it's confidential.
Well, why would it be appropriate for it to be confidential? It's an open charity now. So what's the problem? Why does it need to be confidential?
It may well be discussing things that are not in the public domain.
Well, if we tell you what's not in the public domain, it's in the public domain.
But everything about the charity is in the public domain.
We're not talking about the charity.
We are talking about the parish council.
This is a Fairlight Pavillion project, which is a charity.
Yes, and we are talking about the parish council involvement, which is still there in the Fairlight Pavillion project.
In fact, that there's money.
Sorry, can you speak up? As I told you, I forgot my
there's money
hearing.
owed to it.
Sorry?
In fact, that there's been money that is due to be paid to the pavilion.
I'm not going to discuss what's in it.
Can I just point out?
Yeah.
The Fairlight Pavillion project charity is a different organisation. At the moment, parish council still own the rights to the Fairlight Pavillion, or whatever you would like to call it. It hasn't officially and legally been handed over yet, and hasn't been resolved to be handed over yet, because we haven't received the appropriate documents as requested by the parish council at that point in time.
So, given there are no public questions about it, and given that we have decided that it should be held in confidential session. If at the end of the confidential session we decided that it wasn't, then we can share the findings. If we feel it remains confidential, it remains confidential.
Okay, can I ask, as a member of the charity, for the council to let us know again what documents they're waiting for, because I'm not aware of them.
We had a meeting with the charity committee yesterday.
In writing, could we have that in writing?
We had. I don't think that's appropriate at this meeting to discuss. We had a meeting with the committee yesterday and we agreed on an action plan, and I think, you know, end of. The people who met with the parish council yesterday, or members of the parish council yesterday, were presumably nominated by the committee, and once you nominate someone to attend a meeting, you have to trust them.
Yeah.
And this is a discussion.
This is a discussion.
And this is
Yeah,
a disruption.
So, end of. Geoff, do you now have a public question?
It's not a public question, just a bit of help. I've not had time to brief any members of the Fairlight Pavillion Committee
Okay.
yet
Well,
today.
that's for the Fairlight Pavilion. It's nothing to do with the parish council. End of discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, no other public questions. Right, minutes of the last meeting. Councillors, you remember a month ago, have you had a chance?
Only one item, that was my name was missed off as being listed.
It's on this
It's
one.
on there.
It's on this
Fine.
record.
That's the only
Yes.
thing.
Okay. Councillors, are you happy that these are an accurate record of the meeting, and are you happy for me to sign it?
Yes.
Yep.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Second?
Yes.
Date.
Yes.
I can't keep up with the months this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Any matters arising from the minutes, not otherwise on the agenda for tonight? Councillors, no? Thank you. To discuss and review the current year's budget.
Yes, figures have all been circulated to the committee members. There's only a couple of things that I'd like to highlight is obviously we've now received the compressor invoice. It was for 3 months, one of those which was March for last year. So it's averaging out about £500 a month at the moment, however it has been a dry period. So I think we're okay with the budget at the moment in respect of the large amount that we've put aside. So,
That's good news.
yeah. Earmark reserves are obviously stayed the same. The only thing that we've spent out of there are the children's playground. But I think everything
The only
else.
thing, it was quite a big thing.
It was a big chunk, yes, yes. And obviously we will need to look at earmark reserves in the future because they are going down.
Yes.
Quite dramatically.
Yes.
Okay, and can I just add that yesterday a meeting of the DISH group was held where we looked at income and expenditure and donations and from the budget monitoring sheet as is documented, and we agreed that looking both at last year's and at the start of this year's figures for the budget monitoring, they were there, they were accounted for, and they were easy to see income and expenditure.
Yeah, I confirm.
And David, as our independent, non-active dish, agreed with that. So we haven't planned for another meeting of the committee, but we will meet, not committee, group. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the current year's budget?
Any queries?
Okay, thank you. To discuss the allocation of earmark reserves.
Yeah, as I say, we just need to review.
Okay. I mean, we have in the last month spent 17,000, which is being spent on the playground, which is quite a large chunk of money, but it has been all agreed, and I think anyone who's been up to the playground will agree that the youth of the village, I won't say necessarily the children, the youth and the younger part of the village are enjoying the new equipment enormously, which is good news. Hopefully we won't have that much expenditure in the near future, but we might do. To review policies and practices, we agreed to discuss the preparation of an end-of-year report.
I think that was
David?
David.
Yes, yeah, this was something I think which Stephen mentioned to
Yeah.
me, and I think the idea was that the end of year report would give some details, explanations on it, what each item, the main items were. I think.
Okay.
I mean, obviously that's not going to apply to this current year.
Yeah. Can
It'll be
we?
future years.
Yeah. Can we work up a paper, giving the sort of example of what?
Can I, since this is, I think, Stephen's project,
Yes.
can I refer this to him?
I'm very happy to speak on the matter. I was at the last finance
Yes.
planning meeting and I made a proposal. Given that there were a couple of items of significant change year on year of expenditure, and the one that was highlighted specifically was the coastal defence expenditure, which went up considerably year on year. And my point at the time was that I felt that it was important that villagers knew why there were significant changes. Small things don't matter, but big things do, especially going forward.
Yeah.
And so my proposal was that we did an annual report explaining why there were big changes, not against budget. Budgets are a man-made thing, but versus previous year,
Yeah.
and what the impact of that would be going forward. So that was the proposal, and it was for basically transparency for
Okay.
villagers to know what was going on, really.
Fine, but can I suggest, Stephen, I mean, if you do something and if you liaise with me
I'm
and
very
the
happy
proper,
so to
and the
do.
proper officer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably be the easiest way around that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I
But
think,
it won't be for this last year, it'll be for the coming, obviously the coming year.
so we can accumulate it. I mean, I think in fact what you're suggesting is information which is all in the public domain, and you are suggesting pulling it together, because I mean, if we go back to last year, the compressor house, we have discussed the reason and the problems behind why the compressor house electricity went up so much in finance and main parish council meetings. So it is all in the public domain, I think, and any other expenditure obviously has been discussed. So all that you're suggesting is in the public domain. What you're suggesting is pulling it all together into one paper.
Most information is in some availability.
Yes.
A report gives far more clarity on any activity. So I think it's important. I'm happy to do
Yeah.
a formal paper. If I was asked to do that last time, I would have done it for today.
Yeah. Okay. So let's, if we can work it up as David suggested, and then have a look at it. I think it should be done in such a way that it does not involve an enormous amount of time for the responsible financial officer, and that may just involve a councillor making notes as the year goes through of the major expenditures and major income streams, because in some years the income goes up, for example.
Chair, with respect, we have a document which is only a single A3 paper, A5, which I could do a report just from that in an hour's time.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, for example, in the last year, we have paid out £10,000 for the War Memorial. It was mostly the year before that the income came in, and so if we just show we've paid out 10,000, villagers who haven't been following the War Memorial, for example, may not know that the money has actually come in from donations and wasn't from precept and things like that. So if we're doing a report, we need to add the nuances that the councillors understand, but maybe members of the public who don't attend so frequently wouldn't have picked up on, because otherwise we will be raising more queries than we're answering. Does that stand right?
Sorry, I mean, it's not a discussion, but I think what you just put forward is hypothetical, because reports by definition should actually answer the questions. I mean, I've been doing reports for 50 odd years, so I'm quite happy.
I think it's if you're doing a report on a financial year obviously sometimes the previous financial year is relevant, but not necessarily, you know, so it depends how you wish to do the report, but we'll, if you can give us some examples, we'll look at it at next finance committee meeting, if that's
Yep, no problem.
okay. Thank you. Right. To discuss and confirm the procedures for agendas and minutes. This was a different paper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Our proper officer, as you would expect, has quite easy access to all the legal parts of the parish council and has been able to produce for the committee several papers which highlight where the agendas and minutes are mentioned. And for the benefit of the public, from the SLCC, which is the Society of Local Council Clerks, advice meetings, drafting the notice, summons, agenda and minutes paper, which is from 2015. The statute requires that 3 clear days' notice at least before a meeting of a parish council or community council notice of time and place of such a meeting has to be displayed in some conspicuous place within the parish council. The notice is usually prepared by the clerk or proper officer, but notice of an extraordinary meeting called by members of the council must be signed by the members calling the meeting and must specify the business transacted in it. And the other one is from NALC, the National Association of Local Councils, briefing paper LTN5E, Parish Council Meetings (brackets England), which is October 2022. Paragraph 66. The draft minutes of a meeting are circulated with the agenda for a subsequent meeting, tasked with approving the accuracy of them. Councillors, committee, do you feel that that answers the queries which were raised at the last parish council meeting about notice of agendas and minutes?
I think so.
That's unanimous, thank you. And thank you, Pauline, for having your fingers readily going to that. Right, to discuss the proposed payment to East Sussex County Council for electricity for the CCTV Waits Lane. This is a notice from, I haven't got it, a notice from Dale, sorry. Dale has been working on this and essentially East Sussex have suggested we make them an offer for the electricity, which we will need to use. For those who haven't been following this little happy saga, we were quite happily using the CCTV until the sign for the cove blew down in the gale. And because of the electricity that went up to the sign in the cove, the fuse was removed, which effectively blocked the electricity to the CCTV. Dale has done a lot of searching, and East Sussex have discovered that we were getting our electricity for free. No one on the current parish council, or indeed recent past parish councillors and parish chairs that I have asked, seems aware of this. I think it was assumed at the time that it was street furniture and that is, as I believe, supplied by East Sussex County Council. However, East Sussex County Council now know, and in all if the Cove had maintained their sign, it would make life a lot easier. East Sussex County Council now know, and have come to an agreement or an understanding with Dale that we make an offer and then negotiate on that offer. Dale has looked at the usage, the electricity usage of the system, although it is a bit complicated because some of the system is at the proper officer's house and therefore paid for by the electricity supply to that house. But he has suggested, councillors, that we make a recommendation or an offer of £800 a year for the electricity to East Sussex County Council. This will be a new cost, an extra cost, which has not so far been in the budget. Have you any comments on it?
Is this from the sums he's done on...
From the sums he's done and the discussions that he had, I think he talked to Carl Maynard as well.
And he's happy with that?
He feels that as an offer that is a reasonable offer. I think he feels that East Sussex County Council have been trying to help us.
That's for the year. Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, given we've been having free electricity for goodness knows how long, I think they are aware of our predicament. So are we happy to move forward with...
Could we not do, being a Scot, could we not do a sort of law and see what their response is?
I think Dale, and I've spoken to Dale about it before he disappeared off on a holiday. Why he has to go on holiday, I don't know. He feels that the offer we are making is reasonable and possibly accepted, and is already perhaps, I mean, depends on electricity amounts, but because they don't want to meter us, they want a reasonable sum, which they will get every year. Now, electricity is quite high at the moment, so he has reduced his estimated costs on the understanding that we are being pledged after Thursday that electricity costs may come down. There goes another pig. Sorry.
For what it's worth, can I make a suggestion? If we eventually aim to pay this inverted commas 800, there's always a danger if we say 800 straight away, they could try and up us. So why don't we start at 6? Right. We've got room, we've got 4.
Any more?
But if we start lower, then we've got room. If it goes lower,
Okay.
so that's accepted.
So-
If we've got room to manoeuvre,
Can we agree, perhaps, to allow the proper officer and Dale to negotiate between 6 and 1,000, and accept up to 1,000 if that's the best they can get.
Yeah.
If it's going to be more than 1,000 a year, then we would ask it to be referred back to either to full parish council or to the finance committee.
Yeah.
Are you happy with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So we'll start at 6,
Okay.
and Dale and Pauline can work. Oh hi, the new.
Could I just for one
There's
point?
not discussion.
I know, but
Standing order suspended.
Okay.
£800 a year is only like 18 quid a week, but the more you negotiate, the less we're going to have coverage of our village. I mean, £18 a week's reasonable for CCTV.
It's not up to us, it's up to East Sussex County Council to
Yeah.
determine the cost.
I thought,
Sorry, I'm not having a discussion now. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. Standing orders to be reimposed. It is beholden on the parish council to try and get the best price for anything, and we are trying to get a best offer that will be accepted.
From my understanding, Dale has got a very good relationship now with the people that he's
Yeah.
talking to, so I think I would trust him to
Dale,
not mess it up.
no,
if you see
I think
what I mean.
Dale has spent a lot of time. That's why I'm asking. I have asked.
if he's
because-
got that room to
Yeah,
manoeuvre,
that's
then
why
he
I'm
can sort
asking
it out.
for a thing. I don't want him to have to keep coming back. It's another month. I'm hoping that Dale and Pauline can do that. So, committee, you are in agreement with £600 to £1,000 is okay.
Yeah.
If it's 1,001, we'll allow it, but over that,
We'll do our best.
we'll do our best. And as I say, my understanding from Dale is that East Sussex are sympathetic to the position that we have found ourselves in. It has been going on for quite a long time, and we will endeavour to get it up and running as soon as possible. Dale is also looking into the cost of a second CCTV camera to cover the upper end, because, as has been pointed out to us by residents from further up Battery Hill, they have no CCTV coverage, and indeed obviously are closer to the country park, which has parking, and as we have heard from Stephen, nighttime activity going on. So that will come back to a future parish council meeting for the provision possibly of a second CCTV camera for the top end. We sometimes tend to forget about the top end of Fairlight because most of us come from Fairlight Cove, and it is important they are part of the village, that they are given due consideration. Thank you. Right, that was item 9. Item 10, to discuss and approve the proposed solicitor for the compilation of leases. Pauline, do you want to say anything about this, because you're the one who's been in communication with the 3 solicitors who have responded or offered us a...
Yeah, I've actually been in touch with 6 solicitors altogether, but 3 have responded who actually do leases. Some will do just domestic leases, others will do commercial, and I've got 3. The prices obviously have been circulated to members of the committee. It would seem that the tennis and the bowls club are fairly straightforward leases. However, the pavilion will actually get a bit more complicated, because obviously it will be a tenancy from a piece of land to a final build, so that one will be a bit more involved. But you've all read the papers, so you know what's been recommended.
Without naming names of companies,
Yes.
Councillors, you've seen the 3 quotes and you've seen the accompanying comments that they've made. They all received an identical email from Pauline. Do you have any preference for which one we should approach for possibly a bit of further information and doing it? And I would suggest, without naming names,
Yeah. Obviously we can pick and choose. We have been given quotes for 3 different leases, so we don't have to go to the same company for all 3 leases if necessary.
Are we allowed to ask further questions before we choose
Of
a
course.
solicitor?
Yes, of course.
Because I would suggest 2 of them obviously don't really understand what it is that we've asked. So may I suggest that we go back and clarify with the other 2 of the solicitors to see if they can come forward and actually give us a quote based on what the actual work involved is.
Yeah, I think so. I think also if you advise them to the fact that quotes for doing all of the leases and quotes for doing them separately might also be beneficial.
Okay.
So I'm afraid, I'm sorry, but I think we
No,
have
that's
to go
fine.
back to them and clarify.
I'll bring it back to the next.
I think the trouble in finding solicitors that to actually do leases, and then the fact that a couple of the firms have not perhaps read the email as broadly as it was put, whereas the 3rd firm did. And although the 3rd firm was quoting a higher price, they were not quoting for the same thing as the others. Can we, because there is a pressure on us to make a decision about this, can we agree to circulate by email and make a decision on one of those 3 by email with the committee? Is that allowed, Pauline?
Yes.
Are you happy for us to do that, so that once Pauline has the replies from the other 2, then
there's a major difference in prices.
Yes.
then we are comparing like with like, whereas I think at the moment the one solicitor that expanded their replies was quoting a different quote to the other two for the Pavillion project. The Pavillion project is complicated, and we need to make sure we have it right, both for the sake of the parish council and for the sake of the charity that is proposing the bill. The last thing we would want is for them to start looking at funding and send off copies of a lease, which was then questioned by funders as perhaps not not covering all that we should be covering. And I think it's important we get it right, but we will try and do it as quickly as possible. So we'll do it by email, and Pauline will collate the responses and then email us back to confirm what our ultimate choice is, which hopefully we can manage to do, depending on how quickly the solicitors respond. Okay, thank you. Item 11, future agenda items. The only thing I have started doing is looking at the new NALC advice on standing order, which includes some newer legislation. I would hope possibly to be able to circulate that to you with the amendments, because it is a long document. So anything which I feel needs amending, looking at in detail, or possibly deleting, because some of it can be deleted, I would highlight in red and perhaps ask if we can circulate it before the next Finance Committee meeting. We can have a quick, hopefully relatively quick look at it, and then recommend it to the full parish council. Are you happy for that? Yeah. Unless anyone else wants to do it. No, you might not. We've been wanting to amend to update the standing orders for quite a long time, but while we had the objection to the audit outstanding, and we knew that the auditors would need to see our standing orders, we felt it inappropriate to amend it last year. So we are now in a position to freely do that without hindrance or whatever it is. I don't think. Okay, thank you. Right, we now come to item 12, the confidential items, and I would ask councillors to resolve that pursuant to section 1(2) of the Public Bodies Admissions Meeting Act, and because of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, the public and press leave the meeting during consideration of the following matters, and that is to discuss the Fairlight Pavillion project and to discuss staffing matters. Can I see a vote of hands on that? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Chair, can I confirm whether that includes parish councillors that are here?
It does.